The average salary of an electrical engineer at Apple is $127,000. Well, you might be thinking, oh, that's just Apple. Well, the entry-level salary at other companies for electrical engineers is still around $74,000. But is electrical engineering really a good career to pursue? That's what we are discussing today. What's up everybody, Sadia Khaf here. I'm an electrical engineer doing Ph.D. in machine learning, and on this channel we usually talk about engineering, machine learning, and highly paid scholarships. In today's video we are talking about, is electrical engineering a good career to pursue in 2022? We'll be dividing the video in 4 parts. First we'll talk about what's the job potential in electrical engineering. Then we'll talk about what does it actually take to become an electrical engineer. We'll also talk about what are the different types of jobs that electrical engineers have, and finally, how happy or satisfied are electrical engineers with their jobs. But first things first, what exactly is electrical engineering? Engineering, by definition, is the art of problem solving. When you combine electrical with it, by definition, using electricity to solve any kind of problem is electrical engineering. That would be a broad categorization of electrical engineering. It includes design, implementation, and testing of all those solutions, so we'll talk about in detail later. First, let's talk about the growth potential or job potential in electrical engineering. According to the labor market assessment surveys in Canada, between 2019 to 2028, there will be about 13,000 new jobs for electrical engineers and about 16,000 applicants applying for those jobs. The growth rate in electrical engineering is about 7%, which is slightly higher than average. So it means that there will be approximately the same number of jobs for electrical engineers as the number of people applying for those jobs, at least in US and Canada. The situation is very different in other countries, but if you are trying to become an electrical engineer in US or Canada, the job potential is very, very high, and you are most likely to get your dream job as an electrical engineer after studying it. When it comes to the starting salaries of electrical engineers, in US and Canada, entry-level engineers are starting at about $74,000 a year, which is pretty close to that sweet spot of $75,000 happiness index ideal salary. Because according to some studies, the ideal salary for maximizing your happiness is $75,000 a year. If your salary increases beyond that, it does not contribute significantly to your happiness. So you're maximum happy with your salary at around $75,000 a year. So electrical engineers starting at $74,000 a year is pretty close to that ideal sweet spot. The salaries do go higher as you become more and more experienced. So an average salary of an electrical engineer at Apple is around $127,000, and some of the engineers at Apple are earning way more than $200,000 a year as well. Now let's talk about what does it actually take to become an electrical engineer. Well, in most places in the world, electrical engineering is a 4-year bachelor's degree. You can always pursue MS and PhD, and the duration of those are highly variable around the world. But generally, undergrad is a 4-year degree in most places around the world. In most places, first-year electrical engineering courses will focus on introduction to circuit analysis, some introduction to programming courses, maybe some introduction to calculus, and some engineering drawing tools. The second-year electrical engineering courses build upon that foundation by giving you an introduction to object-oriented programming, teaching you more on circuit analysis, getting you started with some digital logic design, maybe electronics 1 in some universities. So you build on that foundation that you had, the courses that you studied in your first year. Third year in electrical engineering has been famous to be the most difficult year in most electrical engineering universities around the world, and it's in your third year that you take courses like embedded systems, electronics 2, electromagnetic fields theory, control systems, digital signal processing, machines, instrumentation. The fourth year gets easier because in the fourth year you take most of the elective courses that you chose specifically for your particular major, along with some non-technical courses that focus on your presentation skills, your communication skills, and you mostly, if like me, you chose the signal stream, you will probably take courses like digital image processing or advanced signal processing, something like that. Overall, electrical engineering is a pretty difficult major to get into. So getting in, I would rate the difficulty at 9.5 out of 10 on the difficulty scale. And then getting through engineering university, well, it's not that difficult. Getting in is more difficult than getting through. So I would rate getting through electrical engineering at a 9 out of 10 difficulty. Electrical engineering is very, very mathematics intensive. So if you don't like courses like calculus or linear algebra or partial differential equations, then you will probably hate studying electrical engineering, and it's probably a good idea to stay away from electrical engineering if you genuinely don't enjoy problem solving using these abstract mathematical concepts. Now let's talk about what kind of jobs do electrical engineers actually get. It highly depends on the type of major that you selected in your third and fourth year courses, because electrical engineering now has a lot of types. There are a lot of subfields in electrical engineering, and the majors you choose in your third and fourth year actually define your stream. Electrical engineering currently has some subfields as control engineering, power engineering, signals and systems streams. Microelectronics can also be considered one of the streams here. Telecommunications, of course, microwave and antenna design, and many more fields. So depending on what major you took. In some cases, computer engineering is also considered a subfield of electrical engineering, so with heavy focus on programming side courses, me included. My major is telecommunications, but I'm very heavily focused on machine learning, so my work is all about programming. So the majors you choose in your third and fourth year electrical engineering play a really big role in the type of jobs you will be doing after you graduate. There are a lot of types of jobs in electrical engineering. It all depends on the major you selected in your undergrad, but if you're an electrical engineer, you can work at companies like Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, all these other big tech companies. They all hire electrical engineers. If you chose a major in telecommunications, for example, you can work for any telecommunications company. In Canada, for example, you can work for Bell, Rogers, Virgin Mobile, Fido, and all these other telecommunications related companies. If you chose a major in control systems, for example, you can work for controls and robotics related companies, for example, Boston Dynamics. If you chose a major that is more on the power side, so if you did a power engineering, in any country, you can work for any of the big power companies. Every country runs on electricity, so every company has their power companies. In Canada, you can work for companies like Hydro-Quebec, for example, if you studied power engineering. And if you studied more on the computer side of electrical engineering, more focus on programming courses, you can literally work on any of the big tech companies in US or Canada. So the job potential, the number of jobs in Canada and US are quite a lot, and there are approximately the same number of applicants for the jobs as there is the demand for electrical engineering. In Canada, according to the labor market assessment surveys, there are about 13,000 jobs expected in the next 10 years and about 16,000, which is pretty close. So the demand versus supply is pretty close for electrical engineering in at least US and Canada. Whereas in some other fields, for example, like civil engineering, there are about 18,000 jobs expected between 2020 to 2030 in Canada, but there will be about 26,000 job applicants for that. So naturally, whenever there is more supply than the demand, some people will be left to switch careers or be unemployed for a while. So when it comes to the job prospects or earning potential in electrical engineering, I would rate it very close, 9.5 out of 10 on the job prospect scale. Now here's the tricky part. How satisfied are electrical engineers from their jobs? How happy are they with their careers? There's a website called Career Explorers, and it actually conducts surveys on all different fields. And when they conducted surveys about electrical engineers, it actually rates 3.1 out of 5, which puts electrical engineers at the bottom 40% when it comes to happiness and job satisfaction. Naturally, since electrical engineering is one of the highly paid jobs, most people were satisfied with their salaries, but not a lot of people were satisfied with their meaningfulness or their work environment. So it is a high stress level job. It does require a lot of technical skills, and some people do burn out while working in high pressure jobs such as electrical engineering. A lot of people do switch careers, but that's not really a bad thing. As I thought in one of my last videos, I discussed that 50% of my class fellows ended up switching careers and moved to more management positions rather than working as electrical engineers. But come to think of it, that's not really a bad thing. When you're an electrical engineer, all of the companies want to hire you, be it as electrical engineer or in any other management role. Because electrical engineering requires such a high level of skill and hard work to become an electrical engineer, all the companies know that when they are hiring an electrical engineer, they are literally hiring the best of the best and the smartest people out there. So if they are hiring you as a manager, they are hiring a very, very smart manager in that role. So personally for me, electrical engineering is totally worth it in 2022 because it's a very in-demand career. It's very satisfying. It requires a lot of problem-solving skills. So if you're someone like me who enjoys the process of problem solving and enjoys the end result of getting that problem solved, the thrill of achieving something and fixing a problem, it's very, very satisfying career. True, you will hate yourself when you're stuck debugging your code and you don't know if it doesn't work and why it doesn't work. But when you finally fix it, the thrill of that is just unparalleled. It's the best feeling in the world when you build something, when you solve a problem. It's literally amazing. Do keep in mind though that as electrical engineers, MS and PhD degrees pay much more than simply having an undergrad degree. Because when you have an MS or PhD degree, you have put in more and more effort into your studies, and the rewards for that are exponentially higher. The entry-level salaries for MS or PhD in electrical engineers start way beyond $95,000. So there is a big difference when it comes to simply just undergrad electrical engineers versus electrical engineers who have an MS or a PhD degree. But getting an MS or PhD degree in electrical engineering is also not easy. Almost 95 or 96% applications get rejected without even being looked. So if you want to know why 96% applications for MS and PhD get rejected and some tips on how to beat that 96% rejection rate, then watch this video right there in which I explain literally why these applications get rejected and how you can use some of the proven tips and tricks that I used to beat that rejection rate if you want to pursue an MS or PhD in electrical engineering. See you next time.